So we are currently running a petition for people to vote away from the Democratic Alliance in 2026 and for the foreseeable future. We decided to run this petition because of the growing dissatisfaction among people in the Cape who say that the party has moved away from its earlier identity and so is no longer taking us in the moral, ethical direction. The DA was once a responsible party and credible alternative to the ruling party. It was actually in opposition at one point. However, the DA in 2025 no longer resembles the party of 2010. Their strategic and ideological shifts raise serious concerns about the future of Cape Town and the Western Cape. What kind of future will the DA offer our children and grandchildren? The party is becoming increasingly similar to the ANC. In 2025, the DA absorbed former ANC leaders, aligning itself with ANC-linked factions, and has adopted comparable policies. Note that none of these defectors from the ANC renounced ANC policies, such as land expropriation. So none of them have denounced ANC policy. They've just moved over. These developments risk turning the DA into an ANC-light party rather than a distinct alternative. Economic policy is another area of great concern. The DA's recent proposal to replace BEE with a UN-aligned SDG framework illustrates a preference for state-directed economic management under the disguise of centrist policy. This shift expands bureaucratic elements. It increases the costs for businesses. It strengthens central control and encourages reliance on consultants, NGOs, and politically aligned actors. Urban planning in Cape Town illustrates many of these concerns. The city's integrated development plan under DA governance, or the DA-led city council, because it is the DA-led city council, they have the majority, and all forms of local governments are actually political bodies because they're made up of politicians. The city council is made up of politicians. And so, yes, while the structure is separate from the party, the de facto reality is that the city council, because it's DA majority, it represents the DA. So the IDP places heavy emphasis on densification. And densification is immoral, shaping developments in an overtly political way. This approach places pressure on infrastructure, reduces livability, and embeds ethical, questionable planning practices with long-term consequences. Questions are also emerging about the DA's future relevance. University SRC elections, such as the University of Cape Town, show growing student support for parties other than the DA, Economic Freedom Fighters, SASCO, and so forth. This signals a decline among younger voters for the DA. And since university students are going to be future leaders and they're not voting for the DA, it really raises whether the DA is going to have a future. So in many ways, voting for them is sort of trying to keep, perhaps you could say, a bit of a dead dog alive. Finally, the party's leadership are increasingly committed to the anointed vision, Thomas Sowell's anointed vision. Evidence that challenges their narrative is often dismissed as misinformation, as will this video and what I say. What we do, we will be accused of being political, fear-mongering, childish response, obviously, because of the vision of the anointed. Disagreement is framed as obstruction, and interventionist policies are justified as inevitable, but they're not. They all that you're seeing, it's a policy choice. It's not inevitable. This approach risks weakening social cohesion and undermining effective policy making. So they have the vision of the anointed, and we have written on this, and you can see this. They will accuse our newspaper of being fake news or whatever, It's childish. It's those who have the vision of the anointed will regard contrary evidence as misinformation. Now, there is such a thing as a genuine lie, like an AI deep fake. Obviously, that's a deep fake. But when people are raising questions and when people are pointing to contrary evidence, which is what we do, that's it. Now, just a point on this is we're not anti-DA, but the current DA trajectory is concerning, and we oppose the current trajectory because it's foolish, unwise, immoral, and will destroy our children's future. And so this is why we're making a thing of it. If they changed course, then there would be, we'd probably be singing their praises. So we change our sort of position based on what the party is doing. Same with the Freedom Front Plus or the ANC, and so forth, just to sort of get that out the way. Sadly, the DA of 2025 is a party that has centralized control and adopted very risky strategies. What kind of future will the DA offer our children and grandchildren? On this basis, we need to reconsider our support for the DA in 2026 and beyond. If not the DA, then who do we vote for? Well, many people argue that they vote for the DA to preserve a majority in Cape Town, the Western Cape, and prevent ANC or another party from taking power. Fair concern. However, this misses the real issue. The DA is increasingly becoming indistinguishable from the ANC. In other words, it's becoming the ANC, it's merging with the ANC. At this point, this is difficult to deny. Voting for the DA now effectively delivers an ANC-style governance. At the same time, I must be honest and say that refusing to vote or voting away from the DA, it may accelerate this convergence. So either way, you're going to get the ANC. Voting for the DA, you're going to get the ANC. Voting away from the DA, you're going to get the ANC. But there is a third way, and this is the way that I'm saying is the most wise, responsible, moral way forward, is to build a meaningful alternative, a support for a meaningful alternative, such as, my example is the Freedom Front Plus. If we can do this, then it's possible to slow this trajectory, mitigate policy excesses, and potentially change direction. There are no guarantees, but one outcome is certain. Continued support for the DA will result in more of the same failed ANC-style policies. The Freedom Front Plus is mentioned here because based on my investigation, it has a track record for responsible governance. It's got decades of parliamentary experience. Think about Dr. Corné Mulder, he's been in there for ages. And also, amazing thing is that lacks, in other words, it does not have the apartheid era baggage that continues to haunt both the ANC and DA. The Freedom Front Plus were never from the National Party. Whereas we know that the National Party, when it dissolved into the ANC and the DA. So the Freedom Front Plus is essentially free from any apartheid baggage. And so it really is one of the best vehicles going forward from what I can see, because it's got wisdom, experience, responsibility, and it's free from apartheid baggage. Please consider signing the petition by clicking the link in the video, or if you're reading the article, it's there. If you would like to read up more, then you can. I've written another article where I talk about this more. Okay, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye for now. Oh, and please do subscribe. Always forget that. Please do subscribe. And if you like this video, like it. If you don't, well, don't. That's fine. Bye for now.